Parshas Devarim, Shabbos Chazon. I want to welcome everybody. You know, it's our yearly share at OTL, but unfortunately we're here again. That it's another Tisha B'Av in Golos, and it's during the 9 days, and we can't eat meat, we can't eat fleishik during the 9 days. Happens to be tonight, Baruch Hashem. My son-in-law, Yonah Brisk, is making a siyum here tonight. And everybody's going to be zoicha to be part of the siyum and to have an entire fleishik Yisuda right after the shir. We're going to have the siyum and then roll right into a suda, which turned into Baruch Hashem. No one's going to go hungry here tonight. And the thing that I want to thank everybody, first of all, because I know nobody came for the food, nobody came for the siyum, everybody came for tonight's shir. And it's kedai to mention that tonight is the 25th Yahrzeit of the Nesivos Shalom. Tonight, Zion Menachem Av is the Nesivos Shalom's Yahrzeit, and it's 25 years. And I had the privilege of meeting the Nesivos Shalom, which got me on to learning, besides that my brother and his family got me into Nesivos Shalom, who's already not so well done. It was a few months before he was nifter, and I hadn't been in Eretz Yisrael in many years, believe it or not. I didn't go for a while. It was hard to afford it, and it wasn't easy, Baruch Hashem, with a lot of little kids in the house. And I went to Eretz Yisrael, and my brother told me, you have to get into Nesivos Shalom. They pulled some strings from behind, and I was very, very taken. I started to learn his Torah, and once I started learning his Torah, the rest is history. We started the shir Friday night, and then we started this shir almost 16 years ago. In October, November, after Sukkot will be 16 years. And Baruch Hashem, we're rolling for almost 800 straight weeks. It's amazing. And I just want to say that everybody here, hopefully myself too, Nesivos Shalom is pulling for all of us today. Tonight's Nesivos Shalom's Yahrzeit, and somewhere up in Shamayim, the Nesivos Shalom that might just be rolling the longest Nesivos Shalom in the history of the world, continues to go, Baruch Hashem. I consider it a tremendous privilege and have to give a lot of shvach voidot to Hashem that I was introduced to Nesivos Shalom, that I was able to learn through his svarim many times, all his different svarim on the Parshias and everything. So let's get into tonight's shir, and tonight's shir should be a chus for Reb Shalom Noach. I'm going to have to ask for Maya what his father's name was. I didn't check it up beforehand, but Reb Shalom Noach and Nesivos Shalom. Tonight's shir should be a chus for every one of us, and it should bring Yeshuas for whatever everybody here needs. And as we know, this Shabbos is called Shabbos Chazon. And Shabbos Chazon is called that. Why? Because we know we read the Haftorah this week. If Mashiach doesn't come by tomorrow, we're going to read the Haftorah. Moshe Avram is the Nesivos Shalom's father's name. Shtoya. Thank you, Google. And because of the Haftorah that we're going to read this week, that begins with Chazon Yeshayahu, a vision, a great vision that Yeshayahu had. And before we get into talking about the meanings of this lashon of Chazon and what the great Chazon was, let's talk for a moment about this whole idea of Avelos of Tisha B'Av. We all know so many halachas are going to take place this Motzei Shabbos. It's going to come to Tisha B'Av. We have a lot of halachas that we follow through the 9 days, through the 3 weeks. What is this whole thing of the Avelos that we do because of Churban Beis HaMikdash? And the Nesivos Shalom brings the Sefer HaKadosh, Pri Haaretz, and he asks, in Yiddishkeit, we have to always know and we have to remember that being down, being upset, being depressed is one of the worst klipos that a person can have. Atzvus, being down, is illegal. A person is not allowed in Yiddishkeit to be upset and depressed. It says in Nesivos Shalom that it has no place in Avodas Hashem at all. The pasuk in Tehillim, when it speaks of Avodah Zorah, the pasuk in Tehillim says, Atzabeim, everybody knows this pasuk, Atzabeim kesef v'zov. A lotion of Atzabeim, when we refer to Avodah Zorah, Atzabeim coming from the same shoirish, the same word of atzvus. Atzvus, a person walks around and acts depressed and carries depression. I'm not speaking about clinical depression right now. I'm talking about somebody that dwells on things, someone that walks around with his nose always facing the ground. That is Atzabeim. That is Avodah Zorah. And for Avodas Hashem, a person needs to be oiz v'chedva b'mkoimo. You have to be a happy person. People have to see on you when you walk down the street, when you walk into a room, that you're happy to serve Hashem, you're happy to learn, you're happy to daven, you're happy to have your chaverim, your family, that you are a happy person. And the Shekhinah only rests where there is, as we know, a matzav of simcha. So ask the Nesivos Shalom, what are we being down about now, about Tisha B'Av? Are we being down about something that we once had? We once had something almost 2,000 years ago, and now it's gone, and we're still being depressed about it? Says in Nesivos Shalom, that alone, that's not the way a Yid acts. A Yid doesn't carry around being upset. So the Medrash in Eicha tells us what exactly this being down and being in the mood that we are in to Tisha B'Av. The Medrash in Eicha tells us what it's all about. The pasuk in Eicha says, Ki Hashem hoiga al roi pisha'el. Because of the abundance of Averos, we had a Churban Beis HaMikdash. So says in the Nesivos Shalom, from that pasuk, from the Medrash and Eicha, we're not down just because of something that happened 2,000 years ago. We are down because Ki Hashem Oigal Roy B'Shoel, that if we haven't learned the lesson of why we had a Churban Beis HaMikdash, we had a Churban Beis HaMikdash because of Sinas Chinam. We had a Churban Beis HaMikdash because of the Averos of Bein Adam LaChaveroi, and almost 2,000 years later, we are still in Golus. So the Averos is not just crying about something that happened. It is because of Kol Shalei Nivna Beis HaMikdash B'Yama. If the Beis HaMikdash is not built this year, if it hasn't been built in our times, you and I, every one of us, if it's not built this year, Ki'ilu Nechrav B'Yama. We can't look back 2,000 years and say because of what they did, because of Averis, they didn't have covet for one another. The answer to that is no. So the Medrash is telling us, Ki Hashem Oigal Roy Pishoel, because of our Pishoel, the Averis of today, because if the Beis HaMikdash was not built last year, and the Beis HaMikdash, if it's not built in a couple of days from now when it comes to Tisha B'Av, then it's our problem. Roy Pishoel is now our problem, our Averis. So the Avelis of Tisha B'Av is not an Avelis of crying over something just of the past. It's an inyan of tshuva. One of the things of tshuva is that you need to realize, you need to regret what we are, that we're so far from having the Beis HaMikdash now. We haven't put together, we haven't built that building, we haven't done what we need to have the binyan habayis. So it is our problem today. So what do we take out of this haftarah, the word chazon, this vision? So Nesivos Shalom tells us that we need to take out a very, very important lesson. The psukim in the haftarah say, and this is something which is encouraging and something every person has to always carry around with them. Amazing lesson. The psukim in the haftarah this week, you read, Bonim gidalti v'remanti v'hei pashubi. I brought up children. Klal Yisrael, I brought you up. V'hei pashubi. They rebelled against me. That's one pasuk in the haftarah. Zera Mareim Bonim Ashchisim. Children, that I have children, Akash Baruch Hu, the Navi saying that we're children, that we went off the path, that we became corrupt. It sounds very, very negative, right? The children that are corrupt, we rebel, we do all these things. It says in Nesivos Shalom, but look what the pasuk says. In both of these psukim that I just read to you, the Navi uses a lashon of banim. The Navi uses a lashon that we are children, that no matter what, even when we rebel, and even when we're called corrupt, the Navi uses a lashon of banim to remind us that we are always the children of Hashem, even when we're not in a good place. Rabbeinu Maimon, you all know who Rabbeinu Maimon is. Rabbeinu Maimon is the father of the Rambam. Not everybody knows about his father. Rabbeinu Maimon has something called Igeres HaNechama, brought down in Nesivos Shalom. And he says in his Igeres HaNechama, he writes that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will never hate us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will never hate Klal Yisrael or remove the title of Banim, whether we are in a time and a place that we are Maminim, or whether we are not. Whether it's a time in history that we're good, or whether it's a time in history that we're not. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Banim Atem Lashem Elekechem, says the father of the Rambam. He said, Banim Atem Lashem Elekechem applies at all times. The Torah says it. We're going to read it in a couple of weeks in Parshas Re'eh. Banim Atem Lashem Elekechem, not sometimes, maybe when you're good, maybe when you're not. No, Banim Atem Lashem Elekechem is a blanket statement that no matter what you do, you're always my child, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says. And the Maharal, in Netzach Yisrael, Perek Yud Aleph, he speaks about this. And he says, even further, he says, even when Klal Yisrael is Oived Avodah Zarah, the shame of Banim is not moved. Not just when we're misbehaving a little bit. Even when Klal Yisrael, Oived Avodah Zarah, means when our eyes are on some other different foreign God. But no, says the Maharal, that even when we're in that kind of a stage, it never changes. And this, says in Nesivos Shalom, is the godless and the greatness. When we go into this Shabbos, Nesivos Shalom calls it one of the greatest Shabbos of the year. When we go into this Shabbos, Shabbos Chazon, you know why it's great? Because it's a great reminder of who we are and what Hashem thinks of us. Yes, it's true. We're not there yet. We haven't done. Everybody can go home, and everybody, when you leave here tonight, you can decide who you're going to make shalom with, who you're going to stop fighting with, where your sinas chinam is going to get better, and that's something that we should be doing. But everyone has to go home and also think that no matter what, it's Hashem is our Father, and we are His children. And that's the way Hashem thinks of us. That's the Shabbos Chazon. You read the psukim, it seems like we're terrible, we're done, we're corrupt, we're everything negative. It says in Nesivos Shalom, it's not negative. Banim, you're my children, I care about you. That's why I'm giving you Musar. Well, so let's begin trying to live up to that name. We have a few days. And then if Mashiach doesn't come in those few days, at least we could say that we did ours. That us and our Nesivos Shalom share here together, that we learned together, almost 800 weeks together, it stands for something. We're learning, Nesivos Shalom, he's going to go to bat for us tonight. You want to daven, ask Nesivos Shalom, learn a mission of Nesivos Shalom. You're learning this Torah tonight. It'll be a tremendous chus for everybody. And let's do what we have to. Let's hope that next year, OTL, Rechov Malchi Yisrael, we'll hope to see you all there. And we won't have to, I mean, we'd love to have a siyum, but we won't need it. We'll be able to eat the sarei, we'll be able to eat, to celebrate Basar, B'yayin. We're going to all celebrate because we helped bring Mashiach.
Amen.